Alright, customer's 45, that cream and red one there. He refreshed the top end himself. It's wet sumping, but he sent us a video of the bottom end. He wasn't sure about it, and I've had a look at the video and it doesn't look good to me. There's bits in there moving that shouldn't be moving. So I spoke to him yesterday and said my concerns are if the conrod lets go, it will smash the casings and then you're into new engines and stuff.
Yeah.
So just whip the top end off at cursory look at the moment and see what's going on, just to report back to him. I think possibly the conrods are split, I'm not sure. So just got to take the top off and have a look. It's very hard to tell from the video, but if it's moving where I think it's moving, I haven't seen one with an actual cracked conrod yet. Right.
How did he react when you spoke to him about the engine?
It was fine. I mean, he's refreshed the top. He's done the top end himself, like I say, refreshed it. But you know, he said if it goes bang, will it sort of be terminal? And I said yes, it will smash something very nastily to pieces. Could just be optical illusion on the video. It's the whole point of, you know, spending a few hours, pull the engine and just have a look and see what's going on. Right, let's get the other one off. Yeah. I think I'll get a bigger ratchet. I mean, that should be tight though, but that's a bit excessive. It's got a fair bit of oil at the top end, but it was so wet sumped, it's not surprising. It's quite excessive on the top end, but he said he'd done 700 miles on it, so right, let's get the tappet chests out. That one for some reason isn't aligned properly. You can see it on the valve guide there, it's not quite in line, so the man size spanner.
Need a bigger
Right, let's get some heat on them. Needless to say, they shouldn't be that tight. So hot. You put spring washers on there. They don't have washers on those, but I don't suppose it'll ever do any harm to it. You know what I mean? It's just if it's totally original, they didn't have washers. I might have a bit of thread lock on some of these as well, because these should spin off easily.
Things done up to within an inch of its life.
Oh yeah. Trouble is, if you over tighten them, the thread stretches. Instead of being a uniform V like that on the thread, yeah, it'll do that, and it just makes them tight. You can claim them back again, just run a die down, tap and die down, but realistically it should have new nuts. Barrels don't look bad. Pistons don't look bad.
That's the side plate you're talking about, isn't it?
that's the inner rod. think you should be able to get a 32nd of an inch on that, if I remember rightly. And that's quite a lot. Just pulling the stud out. Another reason why you don't put thread lock on them. Again, barrel doesn't look bad. A little bit of scuff on that one. Right, that should be 10/1000ths of an inch.
Okay, cool. What could be causing that then?
Broken. Can you see that silver surface there?
Yeah.
Right, you watch that. See it? Disappearing. So see that changing colour there? Yeah?
Yeah.
That is pressed into the cast iron rod, that's hardened steel.
Yeah.
That, again, you can only just about make the change of colour out, because this one's pretty much had it. But again, it's there. See that, just that little edge there?
Okay.
So that's cast iron, and that hardened steel to take the needle roller, to take the roller bearing, is pressed in. Now that, I think, the pressed in part has come loose, which it's either been assembled completely wrong, pressed in bent, and it's or the conrod's cracked somehow.
Okay.
So we'll have to pull the crank and have a look.
Okay.
There isn't really any other solution, because that, if it's what I think it is, it will blow up. Right, so let's get our oil pumps out. I mean, if you were first time doing this, you'd put all of these in different bags and things like that, but I know where everything goes because I've done a few. Always wiggle these oil pumps. Don't ever hit that, because that will snap off quicker than you can imagine. It will leak oil everywhere, there's nothing you can do about it. Put that in the tub with the rest of the oily rubbish. Let's get that dizzy out. Again, you can set these at top dead centre, blah 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 blah, mark up where the line is on there, but if you're taking all the cams out, it makes no difference at all. You just got to retime everything. No gasket on that. Oh yes there is. I lie. With this off, we can then check our end float on the crank, the actual crank main bearings. Aha, 4 cams in one go. Cam bushes feel alright, which is good news. All that can come out. A little bit of scuffing on that. Right, now let's see. That's not horrendous, but it should be 12 thou. It's a lot more than 12 thou. But I've seen them worse, to be fair. Right, let's get the scavenge pump out. It can stay in, but it's all got to come apart anyway, so. Doesn't feel like there's much play in the big end. That feels alright. Ooh, greasy. Yeah, it's either, not sure if that's been re-stamped or it's just a blank casing from the spare parts and stamped up, you know. Certainly not original Harley letter and number stamps. It's only that one and the two small ones on the bottom that are what you call a semi-interference fit for holding the casings exactly aligned.
Okay.
It says in the workshop manual when you're building and shimming the cranks and everything that the only bolts you ever use is that top one and the two short ones on the bottom. So they hold everything dead square. Oil, oil everywhere. Gaskets everywhere. Right.
Needle rollers.
Yeah, it's just all your main bearings. Get rid of that for a moment. Get the crank stand. Right, now we can see what's going on. Not sure, it could just be that washer's glued itself to that, but there's still horrendous amounts of play.
Horrendous, yeah.
So it's not right. It might not be cracked. It might just be that outer washer's coming off, which means basically the crank pin is too wide, I think. But till we get her apart. Right, I'm gonna have to put the air on, sorry. That should literally be 10 thou. Not 3 bloody miles. Oh, come on! Oh no. They should be like FT. Fucking tight. Not fucking loose. FL.
So the one bit that's loose on it should be tight. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you still need the air on?
No. Sorry. Right, well that washer there should be peened into there, so it can't come out of there. Clearly it isn't.
Yeah.
And your float is just too... Ooh, there's a chunk out of that. Oh, that's about.
Initial thoughts?
I think it's probably had a new crank pin, and the new crank pins are shit. They're too wide. So you have to stick them on the lathe, but I haven't had a good look at everything yet, so spin them up and sand them down till they'll actually fit. Right, well, one roller bearing out of there, unless it's fallen somewhere and I can't see it, but pin doesn't feel too bad. Right, let's split these down and see what's going on. Right, well, what I thought was moving isn't moving by the looks of it, so that's a good sign. It was that, the silver you could see was that thrust washer.
Yeah.
But it's been rubbing on there. So basically, that on its tapers is too wide. When you assemble all of that, yeah, you should only have 10 thou. That one hasn't got a ridge in it, so it's not that. So our main bearing play was a bit excessive, but nothing major. People put thread lock on things. Right, ooh. Right, that, if you can feel anything on that with your fingers, just add it.
But what's caused that?
By a bearing locking up. Yeah, it's probably what's left of that bearing, roller bearing, that's missing. it's just chewed itself to death.
And that would cause that play?
Shouldn't cause side to side, but the side to side will be the issue why probably that bearing's had enough room to jump sideways, lock itself, yeah, and just graunch it out.
How would that roller bearing come out of there though?
Engine's going 4,000 RPM, and one bit's harder than the other, it'll just smash itself, it'll just chew itself to death.
Just doing my lunges.
Oh yeah, she's got hot. Yeah, blue around there, look.
Not a good sign then.
Nah, means it's cooked itself. Right, put the inspection glasses on. That side smudged itself in, which will be the side that was loose on. Oh, look at that weather. Basically, that big end's had it. See where that chewed the bottom off of there? It's got a ridge on there. The minute you get a ridge or anything on them, they're past their sell-by date, to be honest with you. That should be pressed in tighter than that.
So the question is really what's caused all this?
I would say possible too much play on the actual crank in the cases left to right.
Yeah.
And far too much play on your big end.
Yeah. What, on assembly?
Yeah, because if you don't know the specs on them and you've never done one or anything like that, that's on a taper, you assume just bolt that in.
Yeah.
But unless because what you have to do is set it up on a lathe on centres, get fine sandpaper, spin it up, and just grind these tapers down very, very slightly, bit at a time, bit at a time, bit at a time, and then that reduces your width.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to get that down to 0.010 of an inch. If you've got crank flex, it could do it. Obviously that washer doesn't help coming out of there, because that thrust washer then, see how that one's below it there, that's all been chewed to f***ing death as well. But that bearing is sitting on the crank, not on the thrust bearing. So that thrust face is doing nothing.
Yeah.
All that'll end up doing is chewing the insides of that away more. You can buy two different thicknesses of these. So what I'll do now is wash everything down, reassemble it all, and have a measure up. But realistically, that being that blue, that's been burnt. That should be a lot tighter in there, which means if you look at those, they aren't pressed in all the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Which again makes everything worse. All
adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah. Bearings have probably had it. I think that one's chewed itself out of the... Oh, it might have been assembled without one for some strange reason. I would suggest just get a whole new bottom, whole new big end set, which isn't the end of the world. That, like on Aaron's crank, we had to get made up. You can get them, I think it was 55 and 60 thou or something, wasn't it? So I might have to take this over to my mate Steve and do exactly what he did on the other one. See, they should be tight in there like that. Well, actually, what it should be is that runs on it with the 5 thou gap either side. But all the time that's sticking out of there, that's protruding onto your bearing face there. It's all just a mishmash of everything.
All I'm trying to understand from the customer's perspective is what's the origin of this issue? Is it in initial assembly?
Yeah, old age, initial assembly, crank. It's been put together wrong.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, as I say, you buy this as a kit, I know for a fact you'll get a new one of them and it won't fit.
Yeah.
But unless you know that, you know, you don't know your tolerances, you just put it in, do it up, don't you? You know, it's what happens, isn't it?